Hello, so I'm faced with a fairly wordy question here, but it's all right. I'm going to go through my pen and I'm going to underline anything which is important and particularly underline any numbers, all right? So in a shop, all normal prices are reduced by 20%. So don't just underline the 20%, underline the fact that it's being reduced by 20%. Underline what that 20% is doing. And that gives the sale price. The sale price for TV set is then reduced by a further 30%. So let's just pause, let's just think what's actually happening here. Okay, so in a shop, all items are reduced by 20% and that gives the sale price. But I'm told that I've got a special TV set and so I take that sale price and I reduce it by a further 30%. Okay, so Mary says 30 plus 20 equals 50, so this means that the normal price of the TV set has been reduced by 50%. Is she right? And give a reason for your answer. Well, if you're not sure about how to start this question, or if you're not sure about how to start any questions like this in general, just stick some numbers in, see what happens, and that gives you a pretty good start. So let's say the original price of the TV set was £100. By the way, that's not a coincidence, right? I'm using £100 because I know I'm going to be dealing with percentages, so it's going to be nice and easy to work out the percentages if I'm starting with £100. Okay, so I start with my normal, the sort of the full price, if you like, of the TV is £100. I then reduce that by 20%. So how much am I going to be left with? Are you happy it's just going to be 80% of that original price? Because if I start with £100 and I reduce it by 20%, well, 20% of the £100 is £20. Reduce it by £20, I'm left with £80. So in other words, that's the same as 80% of my £100 leaves me with my £80. Okay. I'm then told that that price, that sale price is my £80, is reduced by a further 30%. So if it's reduced by a further 30%, are you happy that what I'm left with is just 70% of that price? So 70% of my £80, 70% of my £80 is equal to, well, what's 70% of 80? Well, 10% of £80 is £8. So I know that 70% is just going to be 7 times that £8, which of course is just £56 if you know your times tables. So this is £56. So my final price is £56. So how much have I reduced it by? Well, I've started at 100, and then I've ended up at £56. So if I start at 100 and I end up at £56, that's 56 out of my original £100, which of course is just 56%. But what does that 56% correspond to? Just be careful. What does that 56% correspond to? It means that this £56 is 56% of my original price. So how much has that £100 been reduced by? How much has it been reduced by? It will be reduced by 44%. It will be reduced by 44%, right? Because I end up at £56, so £56 is 56% of £100. But I don't want what is the end percentage of the original price. I want how much it's been reduced by. Well, it's been reduced by £44, which is 44% of my original £100. Hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully you can see what's going on there. So it's actually been reduced by £44, not 50%. So is Mary right? No, she isn't. And there's your reason.